This is the suction pipe bringing water from the cooling tower. It is supported with vibration isolators and includes a double-sphere neoprene flanged expansion joint or flex connector. The two end-suction base-mounted pumps each have their own flexible braided metal connector on the discharge side, which we discuss in a separate training video. The pumps are secured to concrete inertia bases supported by 2-inch deflection floor springs, which are also discussed in a separate training video. How good is this installation of a twin-sphere expansion joint? First, is the right expansion joint in the right place? The material is neoprene, which is appropriate for indoor applications. The pressure will be fairly low since this is just before the inlet to the pumps and there isn't a large column of water on the other side of the wall, so it's definitely below the 134 psi safe working pressure limit. And the temperature will certainly be below 230 degrees Fahrenheit since this is just water returning from a cooling tower. So this one is okay. Second, is the misalignment less than 1/8 of an inch? Based on lining up the flanges on either side and considering the center lines of the pipes on either side, it certainly appears to be collinear. No discernible offset, so this is okay. Third, are control rods not needed? The pipe appears to be solidly connected to the pumps on one side and it goes through a wall on the other side, so there appears to be very little opportunity for the pipe to move much. There doesn't appear to be any reason to add control rods here, so it's okay as is. Fourth, is the expansion joint properly supported? There are clevis hangers on either side of the joint, very close to the flange connections, so there is no weight other than its own being supported by its connections to the flanges. This is definitely okay. Fifth, are the flange bolt heads up against the connector flange? Well, no they aren't. I'm not sure why contractors often install them this way, but it presents a higher risk for damage to the body of the expansion joint since typically the bolt head is held in place while the nut is turned with a wrench. A slip while tightening a nut could result in the sharp edge of a wrench going into the side of the joint. Further, if the flange bolts are very long, they could run into the side of the joint during system operation movements and cause damage to the body of the joint. In this case, there was no noticeable damage and the bolts were not long enough to touch the joint body, so this one is close enough. No need to get the contractor to reinstall these. Is the face-to-face dimension correct? The distance between the flanges is about 13 inches, as stated on the datasheet. The expansion joint isn't stretched or compressed, so it's okay. Is the expansion joint attached directly to the pipe flanges without any other unflanged component in between? As we can see here, the joint flange is connected directly to the pipe flange, so this is okay. Eighth, are the bolts tight enough? I didn't bring a torque wrench to check, but in some cases it may be appropriate to spot check the flange bolts to ensure the contractor has followed the multi-step process to get the bolts in the correct torque range. These appear to be okay. And finally, are the flanges not touching each other? Nope, there's definitely an appropriate gap between the flanges where you can see the expansion joint bead and the flange bolts. This is okay. So overall, not a perfect score with the flange bolts installed backwards, but close enough to call it okay.